Now, we talked yesterday very briefly about the latest sort of tragic episode in the war between Israel and Gaza. And this was, I think it's 3 rockets hitting a school building, the Al Tabayin school in central Gaza. At the time yesterday morning when I was first hearing about this, the body count was estimated between 60 and 100. I believe it's now been confirmed by Hamas at least 100, more than 100. I'm joined now by Richard Makepeace, a former UK diplomat in Jerusalem, who's possibly more importantly now trustee for the aid group Medical Aid for Palestinians, to just get a handle really on what the situation is for Palestinians at the moment. And he joins me now. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning. I mean, the situation, I'm afraid, is absolutely desperate. You have attacks throughout Gaza, and particularly attacks on where the weakest and most vulnerable are to be found. This is not the first attack on a school. I understand from the UN figures that there have been 20 or 30 such attacks. And schools are the places where traditionally, and I'm afraid there is a tradition of having to find refuge from Israeli attacks, the most vulnerable, women, children, and the elderly are to be found.
I mean, the Israeli army maintains, it struck command and control centres serving as a hideout for Hamas terrorists and commanders. That's the verbatim line on the attack. I mean, the human shields argument that they have used consistently throughout the 10 months of this war.
Yes, I think the human shields argument simply ignores international law. I mean, the fact is you are not allowed to cause disproportionate civilian casualties in order to hit fighters. And in this case, we have more than 90 people killed, according to the United Nations. And in the course of the war, now probably when you include those buried under the rubble, over 50,000 killed, and only God knows how many injured and maybe dying of their wounds. I'm sure
you must ask yourself this on an hourly basis, but we've seen the ICJ, the ICC in their pronouncements. We've seen some of the international community demanding that both the ICC, ICJ follow through some kind of action. Nothing seems to change on the ground, at least in Palestine.
Absolutely. And I'm afraid there is a long history of this. I remember reporting back when I was in Jerusalem that the way we condone or turn a blind eye to Israeli misbehavior in Gaza is simply going to amplify the problem. And even worse, it undermines the efforts of those very courageous people within Israel who are campaigning for Palestinian rights. It's simply not good enough.
It's certainly not good enough. Richard Makepeace, thank you very much for giving up your time this Sunday morning.